Hi, I'm Bridget and welcome back to day 4 of 30 days of 10 minutes of yoga. So we're going to work on building some strength here today in our practice. So we're going to come to all fours just for a moment to find our downward facing dog. So walk the hands forward just an inch or two. We're going to curl the toes under and press to lift the knees away from our mat. Send the hips back towards the top back corner of the room. And then find some movement here in your downward facing dog. So give the feet a pedal here, dropping one heel and then the other, really pressing nice and strong through the arms. So we're pressing the chest back towards the tops of the thighs, hinging through the hips. You can give those knees a nice, generous bend. Find the breath here in your downward facing dog. And then from our downward facing dog, we're going to make our way into our plank pose. So we're going to start to send the upper body forward, stack the shoulders above the wrists. You might need to adjust the feet a little bit here. And then we're going to flatten out through the spine. So imagining a nice long line from the top of the head right down to the heels this time. We're going to hug the belly button back towards the spine, slight tuck of the tailbone. So we've got one nice long line here. Finding the breath, so we're going to stay with the breath. Keep it moving as you stay here in your plank. Spreading the fingertips really nice and wide here so that you're protecting through the wrists, pressing down into all 10 fingerprints, all 10 knuckles. And then we're going to move with the breath here. So we're going to lift the right toes away from our mat 4 times. So 1, exhale, we bring it back down. 2, and 2 more on the right side. And the last one. And then we'll take it to the other side. So 4 times, lifting those left toes away from our mat. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then we'll lower the knees down, find our child's pose. So sink the hips back down towards the heels, knees together, toes together, reaching forward with the arms. Check in with how you feel. Take a moment of stillness. Finding the breath. Filling the body with air. And then letting it go. When you're ready, we're going to make our way back into our downward facing dog. So coming back onto all fours, we curl the toes under and press to lift the knees away from our mat. Send the hips back. Find a little bit of movement here in your downward facing dog. And then finding stillness for just a moment. And then we're going to make our way back into our plank pose. So send the upper body forward, stack the shoulders above the wrists. You might start to notice a little bit of a shake here in your plank pose. I think I was starting to feel a little bit of a shake with those toe lifts before. So set yourself up in your plank. We're going to take some toe taps again, but we're going to tap them to the side this time. So 4 times on either side. We'll start with the right side. We're going to step the right toes over to the side and bring them back. 2, over to the right. 3, and 4. Stay with the breath. We'll take it to the left side. See if you can hold that plank pose. 1, over to the left. 2, 3, and 4. I'm starting to get that little shake. Let's drop the knees down and we'll sink the hips back down towards the heels. Reach the arms forward. Find your child's pose. Come back to the breath. You might like to go for a little rock, side to side. Closing down the eyes. Checking in with how you feel. And then we'll come back up onto all fours. We're going to cross one heel over the other, come back through seated, and come all the way back to lie down. Keep the knees bent when you get there. We're going to work on building a little bit of strength through the core here. So we're going to interlace the fingertips, bring them to the back of the head. Then we're going to draw the knees above the hip points and bring the shins parallel with the ceiling or with the floor. So parallel shins here, knees are stacked above the hips. We're going to see if we can flatten out through that space underneath the lower back. So you might even like to take the fingers there for just a moment and just feel pressing that lower back down into your mat. If it feels like too much to keep the knees stacked above the hips, then you can draw them in just slightly. From here, we're going to exhale, lift the chest, lift the shoulders away from our mat. Inhale, we lower back down. Moving with the breath, exhale, we lift the head and the chest, and inhale, we lower back down. See if you can really slow this down here as you move, so moving with the breath. So rather than speeding it up, we're going to move slowly through each part of each movement. And we'll do 10 more just like that. Seeing if you can keep those elbows really nice and wide here as you move. Really hugging the lower ribs down towards the hips. And I lost count, but we'll do 5 more. 3, 2, and the last one, really squeezing the chest up, hugging the shoulders away from the mat. That doesn't make sense, does it? Lifting the shoulders away from our mat and hugging the lower ribs down towards the hips. On an inhale, we'll release, drop the feet back down to your mat, and we'll just take a windscreen wiper to either side. So dropping the knees down to the left and then over to the right. And then we'll come back to center. From here, we're going to do something similar. We're going to move one leg at a time. So on my exhale this time, I'm going to lift the head and the chest, draw the right knee towards the left elbow, and send the right leg out long. And then we switch. One round of breath for each movement. Moving really nice and slowly here. Again, see if you can keep those elbows really nice and wide. Pressing the lower back down towards your mat. And we'll do 4 more for day 4. And then we'll release the head back, bring the feet back down towards your mat, and then windscreen wiper the legs to either side. Stretching out through those core muscles. And then we'll come back to center. And before we close our practice, we're going to try out our boat pose here today. So make your way back up to seated just for a moment, keeping the knees bent. We're going to send the arms out long in front of us. See if you can lean back and then lift the feet away from your mat. Seeing if you can flatten out through the spine here, keeping the shins parallel with the ceiling or with your mat. Reaching the arms forward. Whoop. And then you might even like to try straightening one leg at a time. So sending the right leg out long and then the left. You might notice a little bit of a shake through the legs. My legs are so shaky today. And then we'll lie all the way back and make our way into our Savasana. So sending the legs out long, bringing the hands to either side, palms facing up. Letting the body get really nice and heavy here, closing down the eyes. Find the breath. Just enjoying this moment of stillness after your practice today. Bringing the attention back to the breath, maybe counting them as they pass. You can stay in your Savasana for as long as you would like. Otherwise, we'll start wiggling the fingers and the toes. Rock the head from side to side. We'll bend into the knees and slowly roll onto one side, making our way back up to seated. And we'll close our practice together today by taking one last nice deep breath. So inhaling the hands up and overhead, bringing the palms together. Exhale, we bring the hands together at the heart and bow through the head. The light in me recognizes and honors the light in you. Namaste.